Jerome Holm, a young man, tells us he's never seen this land when it was green, but his father, Ernest, remembers it well. Years ago, farmers thrived here, growing wheat and grain. Then a long drought struck, leaving the land barren. Most farmers gave up and left, but Ernest stayed behind, believing that the land could be fertile again, if only it had water. In this world, though, water is so scarce that people are willing to kill for it. The story opens with two men trying to break into a small house. Ernest catches them and shoots the first one dead. The second man begs for his life but secretly reaches for a gun, so Ernest kills him too. Jerome watches and argues that the man could have helped them instead, but Ernest trusts no one when survival is at stake. The house the intruders tried to enter has an old water pump, but it fails when Ernest attempts to use it. With no water left, Ernest and Jerome travel on their mule to see the watermen, people who extract deep well water through government contracts. Ernest tries to trade supplies for enough water to farm a small patch of land, but the watermen want more money than he can offer. He's pleaded with them for years, but the answer is always no. On the way home, their mule collapses and breaks its leg. Ernest, heartbroken, shoots the animal. They return to find Jerome's sister Mary serving packaged food. Because water is so rare, she cleans dishes with soil instead of water, an act that reflects just how grim things have become. The next day, Ernest and Jerome visit Sam Lever's auction house to replace their mule. They find a robotic carrier machine called Simulate Shadow, or SIM. Ernest wins the bidding war, beating Sam's son Flem. What neither Ernest nor Jerome knows is that Flem is secretly having an affair with Mary. They then visit Jerome's mother, Catherine, who's in a hospital. She can walk only while connected to a special frame, which is too expensive for home use. Jerome spends time with her, and Ernest and Catherine share a quiet goodbye. Love still present, but strained by circumstance. On their way back, they stop at a gas station. Ernest, worn down by life, takes a sip of gasoline after filling his vehicle. Later, they meet a couple with a baby, begging for water. The father, Robbie, is so desperate he offers to sell the child. Ernest stops him and promises to help. Robbie also hints to Ernest about Mary and Flem's relationship. Back home, Ernest confronts Mary. She lashes out, claiming it's her life and that she hates him. When she tries to run away, Ernest locks her in her room and nails her window shut, trying to keep some control over his collapsing world. One morning, Sim is gone. Ernest suspects Flem stole it and rushes to confront him. But Sam says Flem left for the mountains that morning, taking with him what may have been their last hope. Ernest heads to the watermen to confront them, suspecting they might know about Flem, but instead, they knock him unconscious. When he wakes up, it's already dark. They accuse him of stealing their supplies, and though Ernest swears he's innocent, their leader, Caleb, attacks him. A scuffle breaks out, but Ernest manages to get his hands on a rifle and escape. On his way home, he spots Flem sleeping on the roadside with Sim beside him. It's now obvious. Flem had stolen both the robot and the waterman's goods. Ernest holds him at gunpoint and ties him to the machine, intending to take him back to clear his name. As they begin the journey, Flem makes crude remarks about Mary, which only fuels Ernest's anger. Eventually, the long walk exhausts them, and both men become parched. Flem persuades Ernest to drink from the stolen water supply. While resting, Flem tries to sweet-talk Ernest into letting him go and proposes splitting the profits from selling Sim. Ernest refuses. He's tired and clearly too weak to go much further. Sensing this, Flem seizes the chance. He hits Ernest with a rock, causing him to smash his head on a cliff. Blood pours from the wound, and Ernest passes out. When he regains consciousness, he's the one tied up. Flem cruelly pours water into his mouth as he screams. Later, Flem rides Ernest's motorcycle to his house and picks up Mary, who runs out to him joyfully. Ernest, still missing, prompts Jerome to go looking. He finds Sim abandoned on the road. Reaching the watermen, Jerome learns the devastating news. Ernest is dead. The machine is blamed for his death. A funeral is held, and back at the hospital, Catherine weeps with her children. Afterward, Flem picks up the family in his truck. He now steps into Ernest's shoes, claiming to look out for them. He calms Jerome down when the boy lashes out at Sim. Later, Flem confesses that Mary is pregnant with his child and says he truly loves her. Jerome, though reluctant, accepts their relationship. Later that day, Flem visits the watermen and pleads for water to be sent to Ernest's land. Caleb mocks him but becomes uneasy when Flem reveals a knife with Caleb's name found near Ernest's body. Fearful of being blamed, Caleb agrees to redirect water to the field. The family rejoices as water finally reaches the dry soil. Flem works hard to cultivate the land, and within a few months, it flourishes with wheat. He marries Mary and settles into Ernest's home with her and Jerome, but peace is short-lived. One day, Sam, Flem's father, arrives with men from the bank, threatening to seize the property due to Ernest's unpaid debts. The debt on Ernest's land turns out to be too overwhelming for Flem to handle. Desperate, he takes Sim, the machine, and pays a visit to his old friend Robbie that night. Aware of Robbie's shady intentions to sell his own child, Flem manipulates him by suggesting they visit a potential buyer, just to see how much a baby might be worth. However, upon arrival, Robbie quickly realizes that Flem had already made a deal behind his back to sell Robbie's baby. When the buyers try to take the child by force, Robbie fights back. In the chaos, Flem pulls out a gun and shoots Robbie dead. A shootout breaks out between Flem and the dealers, but Flem escapes with the money. In the gunfire, Sim gets shot and seriously damaged. This triggers its auto-return function, and the machine begins its journey back to its original creator, Calvin Huyman. The next day, Flem uses the money he got from selling the child to pay off the bank debt. Everyone assumes he made the money by selling Sim, so no one suspects his dark dealings. Meanwhile, Sim, now visibly damaged, limps its way across the border to Calvin. Calvin traces the ownership using the ID etched on Sim and contacts the home residents. He speaks with Jerome, informing him that the machine has returned. This stuns Jerome, who believed Flem had sold Sim to Robbie. Curious, Jerome asks Flem if Robbie might have dismantled Sim and somehow the parts ended up with the manufacturer. Flem brushes him off irritably and changes the topic, saying he plans to visit his mother. In reality, he intends to sneak across the border and confront Calvin before anything gets exposed. Jerome, however, decides to act first. He tries to cross the border but is stopped due to his age. Just then, a girl named Anna offers him help in exchange for money. She hides him in a truck filled with chickens and smuggles him across. They briefly part ways after reaching the other side. Eventually, Jerome meets Calvin, who begins showing him Sim's original functions. He explains that Sim's eyes are equipped with cameras meant to record terrain for reforestation efforts. Shocked, Jerome watches the machine's recorded footage, his time with Ernest, and more disturbingly, the real story behind Ernest's death. The video shows Flem tying a wounded, conscious Ernest to the machine and setting its destination toward the waterman. Ernest had been dragged to his death. Tears stream down Jerome's face as he finishes watching. That evening, he returns home silently, saying nothing to Flem. Days pass. While out hunting deer together, Jerome secretly keeps the rifle and hides it under his bed, clearly planning something. At breakfast, he tells Flem that Robbie had contacted him. The comment rattles Flem, who knows Robbie is dead. Later, Flem receives a mysterious letter, apparently from Robbie, asking him to meet at the same location where Ernest died. Puzzled but intrigued, Flem decides to go. That night, he tells a pregnant Mary he's going out to sell something. She wishes him luck, unaware of what awaits him. When Flem arrives at the designated spot, he calls out for Robbie. As he walks through the area, he suddenly falls into a hidden pit. He screams in agony, his legs broken, trapped in the very place where he left Ernest to die. Flem, trapped in the pit and calling for help, is relieved when Jerome appears in front of him. He pleads for Jerome's assistance, but Jerome stands silently, holding a rock. Realizing that Jerome knows the truth, Flem apologizes, claiming it was all an accident. He begs for his life, pleading for the sake of Mary and their unborn child, but Jerome remains unmoved. With cold determination, he raises the rifle and shoots Flem dead. 2 days have passed since the incident, and Mary grows increasingly concerned about her husband's whereabouts. Jerome reassures her, asking her to wait just a bit longer. He decides to keep the truth about both Ernest and Flem's deaths from her. Mary, unaware of the tragedy, suggests they bring their mother home, as they now have enough money for the proper care system. The film closes with Jerome erasing all the video footage from Sim, wiping away the last remnants of the past. The screen fades to black as the story comes to a haunting end.